All right, we're talking about communion and how often an individual should take communion and partake of that. In 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 23, Paul writes and says, "For I have received of the Lord that which also I delivered unto you, that the Lord Jesus, the same night in which he was betrayed, took bread, and when he had given thanks, he brake it and said, Take, eat, this is my body, which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me. After the same manner also he took the cup when he had supped, saying, This cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do ye as oft as ye drink it in remembrance of me. For as often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, ye do show the Lord's death till he come." Now, this was spoken on the night of the Passover, which is commemorated once a year, looking back to God's deliverance of the children of Israel from Egypt. Christ's broken body and blood shed is what is required to deliver us from sin. Egypt is a type of sin. The Passover was commemorated once a year. And so I believe that taking communion once a year is sufficient. Now, some people may say, is it important if I take it or not? Well, if I'm a Christian, there's some things I am going to do as a Christian. And if a person keeps doing or avoiding doing the things that Christians do, at what point are you no longer a Christian? And so, for instance, in John chapter 6, verse 53, Jesus says to the crowd that was gathered there after, this is a crowd that he had fed the 5,000, the bread and the fishes. And he says, "Verily, verily, I say unto you, except ye eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, ye have no life in you." And so think about that. We often use John 3:5, where Jesus said, "Except a man is born of water and the Spirit, he cannot enter the kingdom," to say that you have to be baptized. And there's multitude other verses that speak about baptism. And you have to receive the Spirit, multitude of other verses that speak about the Spirit. And so to be saved, to enter the kingdom. This is something about kingdom living here. As somebody in the kingdom, you are to do this to remember the brokenness, the suffering that Jesus experienced so that I can be saved, so that you can be saved. And so one other thing that's kind of in that same vein of thought is foot washing. When Jesus was washing the feet on that same night, and we typically do foot washing once a year, usually with communion, but not always. And Peter said, "Lord, dost thou wash my feet?" Jesus answered and said unto him, "What I do now thou knowest not, but thou shalt know hereafter." Peter said to him, "Thou shalt never wash my feet." Jesus answered him, "If I wash thee not, thou hast no part with me." And so if you want to be a part of the kingdom, there's things you should be doing, including taking communion.